Good evening, and as we edge into Easter, within the last 20 minutes, there's been an announcement by President Putin of a 30-hour Easter ceasefire. Uh, I don't know quite how this fits into the broader strategic context, and it's a bizarre diplomatic confection. President Putin's declaration of a unilateral Easter ceasefire at his whim. The 30 hours is not peace. It's not even a long weekend. As Ukraine's foreign minister acidly has remarked, 30 hours instead of 30 days, a barbed reference to the full ceasefire proposed by the United States last month, which Russia sort of acquiesced to, then refused. So what's the point of such a brief and a brittle pause? The Kremlin presents this as humanitarian gesture, aligned with the Orthodox and the Catholic Easter, a chance, so it claims, for civilians to catch their breath and for both sides to show willing. Yet, as President Zelensky notes almost instantly, Russian drones were detected overhead even before the truce began. By his account, artillery fire had not abated even 3 hours into the so-called ceasefire. This raises a pertinent question. Is the ceasefire real or is it rhetorical? From a military point of view, it's virtually meaningless. There was no operational lull on the battlefield. Ukraine reports shelling in all directions. Firefighters in Kharkiv are still putting out flames from a missile strike on a garment factory. On knickers. The truce, if it existed at all, was both partial and theatrical. From a diplomatic perspective, however, it becomes more intriguing. Consider the timing. Just days ago, Donald Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio made clear that the US may take a pass, vow change accepted, on brokering peace if progress was not forthcoming. Trump, who has vowed to end the war swiftly, has pushed for a 30-day ceasefire. Ukraine agreed, Putin didn't, until now. And here we are on Easter, presented with a 30-hour crumb. There's gesture politics at its most cynical, a symbolic act designed not to change the facts on the ground but to manipulate the perception of those facts. Putin is playing to two audiences. First, to Trump's White House, by offering something, however derisory. He keeps Russia nominally at the negotiating table, forestalling American disengagement. As Kirill Dmitriev, one of Putin's envoys, triumphantly posted, "One step closer to peace," complete with a dove emoji. The Kremlin is attempting to appear reasonable, measured even, while continuing its aggression. Second, to international observers, especially the BRICS countries and swing states like the UAE, which helped broker a prison exchange that coincidentally occurred just hours before the ceasefire was declared, Putin wants to be seen not as a despot, but as a statesman, echoing his repeated assertions that Russia is always ready for negotiations, even while demanding Ukraine surrender 4 of its regions and give up its NATO aspirations. In other words, peace on his terms alone. Ukraine, understandably, is not persuaded. Zelensky called it yet another attempt by Putin to play with human lives. His foreign ministry accused Russia of running an information operation, dressing up its continued assaults in the costume of restraint, the dressing them up. So what are we left with? This ceasefire is not a de-escalation. It is strategic theatre. It allows Russia to avoid appearing intransigent to wavering global actors. It gives Trump political cover to claim momentum without delivering substance. It lays a rhetorical trap for Ukraine so that any continued fighting can be blamed not on Moscow's duplicity but on Kyiv's supposed refusal to compromise. Indeed, this recalls the 2023 Orthodox Christmas ceasefire, another unilateral pause that was swiftly broken and widely derided. Then, as now, Moscow claimed moral high ground while digging in deeper. And there's a broader strategic question here. Does this sort of micro ceasefire actually help keep Trump at the table? That's the real gamble. Putin is wagering that small gestures can buy him time and diplomatic relevance, but Trump, despite his unpredictability, is transactional. If the ceasefire is perceived as a sham and the air raid sirens in Kyiv suggest just that, then the US might indeed walk away, leaving Europe and Ukraine in a dangerously liminal space, not at peace, not at war, but caught in a cynical holding pattern. And remember, this peace is at Putin's is Putin's decision. It's at Putin's mercy, and therein lies the danger. A 30-hour truce might seem harmlessly symbolic, but symbolism cuts both ways. It can be interpreted as insincerity, or worse, mockery. So we end with a reminder this war has lasted more than 3 years, displaced millions, killed tens of thousands, and shattered the idea of post-Cold War stability. It will not be solved with 30 hours of pretense. If Putin wants peace, let him offer 30 days, or better 30 years of silence. Until then, he should listen not to we should listen not to what he says, but to the sounds of Shahed drones over Kharkiv.